from The Fear of Life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time, by Mark Twain. Death is an inevitable process for all forms of life everywhere. Creation and destruction are two sides of the same coin. The way individuals perceive death inevitably influences how they perceive their own life. Thus, the project will entail the exploration of how and if the understanding and acceptance of death is of crucial importance to the fulfillment of a purposeful life. Personally and interpersonally, this final milestone plays a major part in shaping our attitudes and response to the world around us, here and now. Whether you realize it or not, the act of dying and how we move through it mirrors the deepest essence of our social and cultural context. The final rites and our final judgment echo the ideals we wish to uphold through our time here on earth, and thus our death is about a lot more than release and goodbyes. Through concept and ritual, it embodies an index to measure our entire life against it. How does the way we collectively view death in our society affect us? How are the ideologies and values helping or hindering our everyday lives? Through the exploration of various traditions and beliefs surrounding death, we can gain clarity and insight about our own beliefs through comparison. In a study of Mexican children's view on death conducted by Isabel Gutierrez, it was found that about 40% of parents mentioned that Mexicans joke and laugh about death and play with the word death. One mother is quoted saying that we laugh about death, we're not afraid of it. When we are about to die, sometimes since we are ill, we will say that the Husuda, the bony one, is already coming for us. We start to make thousands of jokes about it, coming to the conclusion of a death is painful, but we know that it is time to step into a better afterlife. As Mexicans, we hug death. We accept it, and at the same time, we make fun of it.
On the ofrenda so their spirits can cross over. That is very important. If we don't put them up, they can't come. We made all this food.
I would say not really comfortable. Whenever the discussion really comes up, I just don't really know what to say, and I just feel uneasy about it because everyone kind of handles it differently, so it's very uncomfortable sometimes.
Me too. I mean, I've experienced a lot of death in the family, and it just, whenever I have parents bring it up, it's just very I don't know how to react. You just kind of sit there and it's oh, damn, sorry. I don't know.
I think I'm pretty comfortable talking about it. I think, yeah. I talk about it, with my students and stuff. So, well, sometimes the kids at school, because I teach at a Catholic school, they want to know about ghosts and spirits and heaven, and they'll ask. Recently they asked about heaven, and they go, "This is heaven an actual place? You actually go there?" So I was trying to talk to them about it, but I kind of took a dimensional approach to heaven more than that.
Very comfortable. The perishing of the physical body is it's a natural part of life. It's something that I could accept, and I feel very comfortable with. Supportive.
I guess I'm pretty comfortable. I haven't had a lot of instances in my life where I had to deal with that, so it's not a real problem for me to talk about it, I guess.
I grew up in a Catholic Orthodox household. I don't personally identify with any religion, but I've always known it just kind of be a funeral, and then after that you just go visit as often as you can and put flowers.
I'm pretty Canadian, so I have an Irish-English background, mainly. So our practice is basically we have a wake after someone dies, which is pretty much a big party. funeral slash party. So it's like a funeral first, and then afterwards we have a big, kind of happy time. And everyone's, you're supposed to like drink and like share stories about their lives and like funny things.
In my family, I've been to a couple of funerals. Typically, the person dies, and there's mourning, and there is a type of closure for the people around him, and a ceremony for him to be properly, or for his body, or their body, to be properly placed in a certain way that they want, whether that be buried or cremated.
So, I mean, I'm from a Polish Catholic family, so for us, we have we celebrate the life after death as opposed to mourn it so much. We have a party the day of the funeral, the day after the funeral, to celebrate the life of the person that we lost, the person that passed.
The Maasai tribes of southern Kenya and northern Tanzania, for instance, believe that we are all temporal beings and that a warrior lives on through the family he leaves behind. Social constructs are therefore visibly elaborate while death is unassuming and modest. The Maasai body is ordinarily discarded for predators to consume with no elaborate attempts to purify or preserve it, echoing the wisdom of the surrounding wild and landscape.
In the Maasai culture, people are buried on the day they die or a day after. However, for Mzee Ole Sokonoi, this is not the case. Mzee Sokonoi was born in 1887 before the First World War. Being the oldest man known to have been living in the region, the community has to prepare a big feast to celebrate. Hence, it has taken about a week as a sign of honor. Unlike other burials, here people eat before the casket arrives from the morgue because it is a celebration. Once the casket is home, the fat from the bull that had been slaughtered is smeared on it as a sign of honor.
For the ancient Egyptians, both life and death were oriented towards a singular moment, judgment of the halls of Ma'at. They regarded death as a temporary interruption rather than the cessation of life. To ensure the continuity of life after death, people paid homage to the gods both during and after their life on earth. When they died, they were mummified so the soul would return to the body, giving it breath and life. Unlike the Maasai, who find immortality here on earth, the ancient Egyptians found their moment of triumph on the other side of life. On the Egyptian landscape, tombstones stand much higher than any home or structure.
Just from like how I was raised, it's kind of like the first perception of what might happen was just like going to heaven or hell. But I mean, like obviously like different religions have like their different, like whether you're reincarnated or I don't know.
I don't really know. I feel like I'm torn between you're just in the ground forever and reincarnation. I really hope that reincarnation is a thing. I kind of want to live again.
It depends on the definition of that. In my experiences, I've come to realize that one never really dies. Your body may perish, but you continue to be just as alive as you are now. Just you live in a different way. The body comes and goes like all material things. But you exist forever, just like everything else. You're beyond that. You transform yourself and take a new form, if there is a form. Life itself is beyond form. I.e., so is the time.
It's a tough question. I don't have a concept of heaven as most people do in my religion. I kind of believe in life after death and reincarnation, stuff like that. I think I'm too young to think about that, but I'm aware it could happen any day. especially around my profession. It's something that's not common, but happens.
I don't know. I actually don't know. But I would like to think you go back to the source, like you just go back to light.
It's a very sensitive subject, so it's really hard to talk about it on the media without, alarming and causing more of like a chaos, depending on like the situation of the incident or whatever. Because when you hear death on news, a lot of people get paranoid, and so if it's not addressed in a proper manner, it can cause, a lot of issues with anyone that's viewing that subject.
I think people are just scared of it. Like, I know, like, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, oh shit, like, we're all gonna die. And it's like, I feel like at the same time within, like, media, it's hard to talk about it without sort of sounding, like, offensive. So you try to make it as, like, vague as you can and just there's the whole, like, being scared aspect of it.
I think that the fact that, for such a long time, for thousands of years, and especially since the beginning of kind of the start of our religions, the biggest fear of mankind has been death. It's been the unknown, what comes after it, and most people they attach themselves to the physical body. They represent themselves with the physical body. They think they are that, and therefore it scares them when it goes away, by them thinking that they're in the physical body and not something beyond that. It creates something very important in life, something that they're very scared of. And the media, knowing that it's such an important aspect of the majority of people's lives, really takes advantage of that and know that it's a big story. So anything that they put on someone that dies is going to catch attention. And I think that they make it a very big deal, and mostly in a negative aspect, not in a positive one, because that's what draws the most attention for the majority of people. It would be nice to see a different change of course of the celebration of life, but continue.
I think TV shows and movies and stuff like that make it seem too casual a little bit.
How do you think it should be?
I don't think it should be such a, taboo situation.
I think all you're shown is death on the media all the time. It's all the time. That's why I don't. Oh well, not why I don't, but it's one of the reasons why I don't watch the news, because that's all. Like, they focus on it so much. So and so was murdered, so and so died, and then they don't just focus on it. They continue the story. Like, it doesn't just. They don't let it go. You become, in a way, desensitized to death. There's no acceptance of it. Like, there's no respect for it. It's just there all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's something as common as anything else. And although it happens all the time, every day, it just happens, right? It's part of life and it's natural. There's no sense that it's natural. Like, I don't see that it's respected or that it's given any type of, value. It's like devalued.
As a means of dealing with one's past death-related experiences, they may turn to an outlet such as a medium. Typically confused with psychics, a medium communicates directly with spirits and the afterlife. Mediums usually convey information or images provided by spirits that have significant personal meaning to their clients, allowing them to verify that they are in fact speaking with the departed. In the context of media, mediums have recently grown in popularity through shows such as TLC's Long Island Medium, which focuses on Teresa Caputo's journey of being a medium and how she encounters the voices of spirits through her everyday life. The way that Teresa walks up to people on the street when she feels a spirit's presence and begins speaking to them personally is in a sense a public surprise death cafe, where the experiences of the dead are being relayed through her to a loved one.
Loved ones. Like, sometimes you might just feel someone standing next to you, or someone tap you on the shoulder, or you might see on the clock 111 or 333, or hear a song on the radio. You might smell cigarette smoke. Spirit loves to play with the television with the volume up and down, flickering of lights. Mm-hmm. Just embrace it and know that it's them.
in the experiences that I've had, which may be a little bit more uncommon from most, I've gotten to see sparks, glimpses, if you will, of beyond this material world. One should not be afraid of that. Does not mean that one should not take advantage of the life that we have here today, every day. And I take advantage of that to the fullest in a responsible amount. I think one should have the right discernment to not let that fear stop you from having a great life here and choosing that heaven here. And if you were to ask me what happens after your body dies, as I said, you will continue to go on living. The life that you will continue to go on living is largely based on the one that you have had here, by the experiences that you have here. As is tomorrow largely based on the choices that you make